Good morning and welcome. We're extraordinarily happy to see so many people here for this wonderful event. Thank you for coming out to celebrate this occasion. We're here to recognize an historic commitment by Marcia Duncan-Lowry and Charles Brian Lowry. Just personally, I've had the privilege and pleasure to know and work with Charles for more than 20 years at the Information School at University of Maryland first, and now for many years here at UNC as he's chaired our Board of Visitors and been one of our leading thinkers and advisors. I've not known Marcia quite as long, but she is an astute editor, I've learned, and an inspiring mentor to our students who love interacting with her, and she gives them really great advice. Charles is a SILS graduate, having earned his MSLS in 1974. Marcia also has an MLS from Florida State University, but also did graduate work here in art history at UNC. Fortunately for us, both of them developed a deep affection for UNC, which has endured and grown, and which is ultimately what has brought us here today. Now I'd like to turn things over to UNC's Vice Chancellor and Provost, Dr. James Dean, who is going to tell you even more about Charles and Marcia and the importance of their commitment. Please help me welcome Dr. James.
Thanks, Gary. Boy, it's great to be here. I like how you all get together. It's a great space to be in. It's really nice. I'm just going to sit here and revel in it for a couple of minutes, throw everybody off schedule. So thank you, Gary. Ms. Marcia Duncan-Lowry and Dr. Charles Brian Lowry and members of the great SILS faculty, staff, students, and alumni, it is indeed a privilege to be with you this morning for this special occasion and to bring best regards and congratulations on behalf of the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill community. For this audience, I certainly don't need to tell you what an extraordinary place that SILS is. Across its programs, its faculty, and its staff, it exudes excellence. SILS is ranked as one of the top iSchools, of course, in the nation. The U.S. News & World Report consistently rates SILS among the very best, most recently ranking it #1 in digital librarianship, #1 in archives and presentation, #2 in health librarianship, and in the top 10 for all other specialty areas. And I believe that Gary has told me that this is the only school that ranks in the top 10 in all of the specialty areas. So as always, I am one message. So without a doubt then, SILS is an extraordinary part of our great global public research university, and it is devoted alumni and donors like the Lowrys who help us to ensure its continued excellence on long into the future. So as Gary already indicated, Charles, I understand that Manning Hall is a very special place for you. The home of SILS since 1970, it's where you pursued your SILS studies under the guidance of the renowned Dean Edward Holley. And on the wall to my right, and I actually did verify there is a plaque over there, so I look totally ridiculous, like Vanna White or something. The wall to my right is the Distinguished Alumni plaque where we find your name. You received this honor for your significant contributions to the information professions through your writing, your teaching, and your scholarship, including your time as Dean of Libraries at the University of Maryland and as Executive Director of the Association of Research Libraries in Washington, D.C. Marcia, you forged your own connection to UNC while studying art history here, and then made your own mark on the information professions through work in public and university libraries and leadership roles in art librarianship and preservation. Charles and Marcia, each of you has made significant, meaningful contributions to library and information science in the past, and now together you've decided to make a significant investment in its future. So as UNC Chapel Hill moves into its next comprehensive fundraising campaign, SILS, dean, faculty, and some of the school's closest leadership, alumni, and supporters have identified $16 million worth of specific, discrete fundraising priorities that will maximize the student experience, always at the heart of what we're about here, ensure that SILS is the preferred choice of the world's most outstanding faculty, and build an intentional culture of innovation and impact. As a public institution, and of course the University of the People, UNC is grateful for the support that it receives from the citizens of North Carolina. But it takes a combination of state support, research grants and contracts, and philanthropic giving to deliver on all the promises we make to the students and to the state and beyond. To prepare our students for careers and for life, to find solutions to the world's most pressing problems, unless they've all been solved while we were in there drinking coffee. I think we're still good there, right? We still got some work to do. And to deploy our expertise in service to the citizens of North Carolina, our nation, and the world. So as you know, a major capital campaign creates the mechanism to articulate our strategic vision for the future of Carolina and to harness the enthusiasm of our alumni and friends to provide the resources that will allow us again to deliver on those promises. Today is a perfect example of the difference that alumni support and giving can make. We salute and celebrate the Lowrys for their historic commitment and engaged support of SILS and Carolina. This is the largest commitment in the history of SILS and is a highly significant commitment to Carolina's capital campaign, inspiring others to follow in their footsteps. So let me just repeat, the largest gift in the history of the school. I think that's And even beyond that, this is particularly significant because it is the first commitment at the whole university to name a deanship. So Marcia and Charles, while I understand that you prefer not to be the center of attention, we didn't give you much choice. So your preferences went out the window. That's a nice way of saying that. Thank you, and I do mean that. Thank you for allowing us to honor you in this way today. It helps us because in so doing, you allow us to demonstrate to our alumni and to our friends, as well as to today's students and our future alumni, how their support can make a game-changing difference to the future of this university. So thank you both. And at this point, I am allowed to remove the cloth cover over here to a little grand proclamation.
I think, as is obvious, this bequest to SILS is a partnership between two UNC alums. My wife Marcia and I spent our careers in libraries beginning in the mid-1970s, and during the last 8 years of our working life, we had the great pleasure of working together closely in the birthing of a new journal, a scholarly journal called Portal Libraries in the Academy from the Johns Hopkins University Press. Anyone who worked in the world of information over these last 4 decades could not help but understand that the essential role of all information professionals was expanding and becoming central to the way our society functions. This lobby reminds me, I guess, of how much that change has been. In October 1974, I would have locked my bicycle to the railing out front. I would have walked up those steps. I would have been dressed quite differently than I am today. Use your imaginations. There would have been no flat screen standing here in the lobby. The area would not have had any Wi-Fi connection. There wouldn't have been one on the campus for that matter. And the front doors probably needed painting. In the summer of 1978, I would have parked my car over near where Davis Library is. It was being constructed at the time. Walked up these same steps to teach a management class. And I would have taught about Taylorism and this new idea of participative management, but not about diversity, not about servant leadership, not about organizational health. No student would have been taking notes on a laptop, much less on a tablet. I would have been dressed much the same as I am today, and the doors would still have needed painting. It's been an exciting ride in these 40 years since that time. We do believe that this trend is going to accelerate and continue strongly. I should say too that Marcia and I both learned about fundraising together while shaping nascent development programs for which I had direct responsibility as a university library dean. What we found will be no surprise. People who donate their time and their money to universities do so to strengthen the institutions that they participate with. They almost always do so out of quite selfless motivations and to set an example. More than once I heard Ed Hawley, my mentor and ultimately a lifelong friend here at SILS, use the phrase, quote, "for the good of the order." It was an expression of deep principle. He meant it. It was also an expression of the spirit of giving back. Marcia and I always appreciated the generosity of the donors with whom we worked. We learned quite directly the importance of philanthropy when we were on the asking side. At this point in our lives, we're happy to be able to do something in return. We feel there is one very good rule of thumb to apply. A philanthropic gift should be personally meaningful and to a cause that one values highly. This brings me to the question we asked. What would that be for us? We began thinking about that answer as much as 20 years ago. Our thinking then was to support the profession in which we had spent our careers, and we know that our commitment to academic libraries would entail a focus on a bequest. That did not change. And what did change was how we would execute that thinking. And we concluded that our wishes could best be fulfilled by supporting the education for library and information professionals. What better place to do that than UNC SILS? Our intent was also informed by the understanding that the strategic opportunities in universities are often missed because of the lack of resources. I certainly learned this as a dean or a director of 5 different university libraries and as an interim dean of the library school at the University of Maryland. This shaped our desire to support a named deanship at SILS, one that would adhere to the position and not to the individual, one that would provide discretionary resources when strategic opportunities to support teaching, research, new programs, students, or faculty occurred. These opportunities are many, and the impact of an individual dean's leadership and can be either diminished or enhanced by the ability to respond. I will say too that when we learned this would be the first instance at Carolina of a named deanship, we were all the more convinced that this gift was all that we wished, because it would highlight the role of SILS as a critical player within the university's mission and of shaping the world of the future. Finally, Marcia and I had long thought that we would give anonymously. Indeed, we felt rather uncomfortable with anything like public acknowledgement. We became convinced otherwise, however, by Dean Marcia and Stephanie Kretz, SILS Director of Development, who believed that the impact of such a public announcement would inspire others to think about their own legacy. And so, it would be most assuredly, as Ed would say, for the good of the order. The doors got painted.
The doors did get painted, and we were very happy to have that completed before this event. This term, for the good of the order, is something that certainly the faculty here hear and believe in. This notion that we all are part of something larger really does imbue the way that we work, and it's a very special culture that exists here. And so I am just so happy that Ed and others who came before us were able to lay down the basis for that culture, inspire young people like Charles in the 70s to believe in that and remember it, because it continues to pay dividends throughout our careers and our lives. So for the good of the order, I will be short in thanking Charles and Marcia for this gift. And I hope that future deans will be good stewards of their generosity, and that this faculty will always do what's best for the good of the order. We have many challenges to face, and the roles that information professionals play in these challenges are myriad. Whether people are working with children or adults or complex systems in any walk of life, information is central to what we do today. We hear about data assets more and more, and it's clear that you all, the students, are going to be carrying forward this tradition of service, of excellence, and so you will benefit, and the people who follow will benefit from this marvelous gift. So thanks again to everyone for coming out today. We will adjourn, and there are some refreshments here. Please don't be shy. Introduce yourself to Charles and Marcia, and especially the students, and take this opportunity to meet some famous legacy folk for our school. And don't be shy with the food either. We've got plenty. Thank you again.